I think we can go ahead and get started. So Belinda, you can go ahead and take over. I will be sharing the screen shortly. Give me 1 second.
Sounds good. Let me know when I can start.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yep. Yes.
Cool.
All right.
Belinda, anytime.
Okay, sounds good. Well, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our Do It All virtual event. It's great to see you all. My name is Belinda, and I'm the event coordinator and host for today's event. And I just got to say, it's so good to see you all. It's so good to be in like a positive space, you know, even though we can't be with each other. I'm really glad that we all came together to find time on the Saturday to kind of talk about what's going on right now. So as we are all adjusting to new schedules and demands and challenges, both professionally and personally, this is the best topic I think for right now to just kind of figure out how to handle all that's going on. So before we get into the event, I'd like to briefly talk about our organization, Creative Women's Co. You want to do the next slide?
So do you want to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, so we have, but like I said, my name is Belinda. I'm the event coordinator. We have an amazing program for you today. We have our panelists as well as our moderator, Shaily. We have Alicia Driscoll from Evolve Her, Ari Krizek from Creative Women's Co., and Melanie Panchal from The Next Collective. And Creative Women's Co., as I mentioned earlier, that's what the event is brought to you by, is a series of intimate gatherings for creative women entrepreneurs to connect with each other on a personal level, learn together, and spark collaborations. Our events are typically smaller, so we can bring that connection to other, we can have that unique connection with others. And if you want to do the next one, Ari. It is also a community project of Cicalofia, the creative and technology agency that helps businesses succeed by focusing on their brand strategy, design, and web solutions. And we do have a special multi-tiered membership at Creative Women's Co., where members can get discounted to free tickets on events. They have access to specialized content as well as other perks. And for today, we do have a discount if anyone here is willing, if anyone here is interested in signing up, we do have a special discount where you can get 15% off, and you do get a welcome gift as well. And if you have any questions regarding our membership, I'm more than happy to go over that later on. And a special thanks to, again, to our supporting partners today, Evolve Her and Gray, Cicalofia, as well as our giveaway partners for today's giveaway.
Sorry.
And yeah, so today we'll be having a special giveaway from our sponsors.
Wow.
We will have a lot of great goodies that one lucky lady will be lucky to receive today. So we'll do that later in the event, but that is a picture of all the goodies you have. Looks like there's some bars, some hats, some swag. So yeah, very, very nice for today. All right, it looks like now it's time for the breakout session. So Ari, if you'd like to go ahead and get that started.
Yes, so I'm just gonna stop sharing. I'm going to give everyone about 10 minutes on a smaller breakout room, so at least you can chat with one another, get to know one another who actually joined the call today. And after 10 minutes, I will cue everyone in so that we can go back to the main room, and then we will start the panel events then. Sounds good? All right, give me 1 second to do this. Okay, about 5 people. There we go.
Hey, whoever the playground or the play, whatever it is, they didn't respond, so I don't know if they're there.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
But
Well, you
I
and I
think
can
it's
chat.
I was gonna say it's good to see you. It's good. Any little chance to check up with you is always a good thing. So
Yeah. Okay. You were asking about the recording. This
yeah.
will go up into our YouTube channel. So I will be sending the link to everyone. So
So
that everyone
awesome. So it's public on your YouTube, yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome. That's cool. I've been collecting all the videos from talks in a big pile on my YouTube account. So it's good. It's already online. I can link it from your account. Everybody wins.
Sounds good. Okay. Cool. Cool. Yeah. We're probably gonna invite everyone back in again in about 8 minutes ish, like that. I know we started
Good.
a little bit late. But yeah, I think we should still be on track ish. What do you think?
We'll be close.
Okay.
Yeah. That's like actually 3 minutes behind is not so bad.
Yeah.
Honestly, it looks like there's one audience member and whoever this other account is. Mary, you said? I think she's the one audience, and then there's somebody else who isn't responsive or who didn't respond to the breakout room. I can go check if she's there, but
Yeah. Well, that's okay then. I'm hoping a couple more people are joining because I know there should be at least 8 more people. But we'll see. I know a lot of the time things like this get forgotten. I send them actually calendar invite, but sometimes it's hard for like virtual events in my opinion. And that's why I'm not honestly a big fan of virtual events, but it is what it is we have for now.
depends. I mean, depends on what people are. I mean, people are they're used to going to see you in real life. So it's how do you transfer the culture that you've built online? It's interesting. I love the internet though. Like my teenage years were like developed because of the internet. So like this was okay for me to survive this because I was like I make friends on the internet all the time. Like that's what I do. But I don't know. There's something else. I can send you this. There was an article I put together with like a bunch of this is it. I made this article that I wrote like all my favorite like tools to like host virtual things. Here, this one. Tools for making connections online. So some of them are how to make friends on the internet. That's kind of cool. And a couple of them are platforms that you can use to host events that are different. One of them, I think I put Icebreaker on there. Icebreaker is really cool because you can like, it kind of matches you up one-on-one with people. Hi.
Hey, Ellen. We are actually currently doing a breakout session. So I'm going to add you into one of the current breakout rooms. Okay. Right. So
don't put her with the play person because I don't think they're there. Or at least they didn't respond to me.
That's okay. I'm moving her to the breakout room 1. Do you see the invite to join the breakout room, Ellen? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. No, I don't.
Okay, 1 second. Let me see if I can move you to the other room. How about now?
I'm not seeing anything.
Well, that's okay. Well, we can just talk with, myself and Shaily.
Sounds good.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're good. We're just talking about like how do you really create like a good virtual talk or digital events and things like that, because I know it always have its own downside, but it also have its, pros and cons and things like that.
Totally.
There's some tools. Yeah, so this Icebreaker video, it basically does like a one-on-one breakout and they give you like a really nice set of prompts so that you're very focused on one person and it doesn't feel as worky as Zoom does. So there's a nice platform. Apparently they're giving people free access if you ask them nicely and they aren't charging a lot of money for it yet. So
cool.
Good one. For networking. So it's nice if you have a community already. So
yeah. How's your day, Ellen?
Good. I'm just in the middle of doing some laundry, so that's why I hopped on a little late.
I'm planning to do my laundry today too.
Pushing it off for way too long.
Oh, right.
Sorry, is this I guess I was a little unsure what the format of this was when I signed up for it, and I thought it would be kind of like not like a PowerPoint presentation, but like something like that. But is it a more one-to-one or like this small group where it's an open discussion?
So the breakout session is only going to be for 10 minutes. Honestly, it's just part of us to do the mini networking session, right? So after this, in about, I think, maybe 4 more minutes, we're going to gather everyone back into the main room, and then we're going to do the panel after that. So, I mean, I don't think we have a presentation per se. It's more like a discussion.
Okay.
So, I mean, feel free to unmute and I guess like on the Q&A session if you have any questions. But if you already feel like immediately as we start talking and have the discussion with all the other panel speakers, just write down your questions on the chat. And I think Belinda will be monitoring those as well, so that you can always like write them down. But if you want to hold off and ask it yourself after the panel session during the Q&A, you can also do that one. So whichever feel comfortable for you, feel free.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. Tell us about you.
I am a graphic designer that works at an auction house.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's really cool. We work on modern and contemporary fine art and design. So we do a lot of like little boutique auctions for like single owner collections. And I kind of handle everything from like the web design presentation to the marketing and advertisements.
Wow.
And print catalog. So it's a little bit of everything. And I guess to not go into too much detail about my crazy life, I have trouble kind of balancing it all. Like, I have a great boyfriend that I live with, but figuring out how to be a good partner to him while pursuing my own career goals and the craziness and the stress there with just being present for all my friends and family, like it can be a lot, especially in this time. So yeah.
Nice, that's so cool. How long have you been a graphic designer?
I've been a designer for a little over 6 years now.
Wow.
So I've worked at the auction house for about 4 years, and then before that I was at an advertising agency for 2 years.
What made you do the switch from for an agency into like
a smaller like in-house type thing? It kind of came down to me just recognizing that a large agency type work environment wasn't really satisfying like my passions, I guess. So art is something that I love and always have, and so I wanted to find something where I could kind of marry the two. Knowing how much time I'm putting into it, you need some reward or like enjoyment. So
nice.
What about
Shaily?
you?
Yeah, Shaily. Go ahead. You do your intro.
My intro about myself, my deal.
A little bit, although I know you're gonna like introduce yourself soon, but
for sure. So the balance thing is a big one. I guess my intro in terms of where we are in this conversation is my biggest things that I've done is I've slept pretty well. I have a boyfriend, he's very nice, and I work. I like get up, I work, I have structure, and then I see him at the end of the day, and then occasionally I'll call a friend. So I'm kind of neglecting the friend thing, but not totally. That's my life in terms of balance. Trying to figure that out because I don't want to be a workaholic, but I definitely have the potential to be. But you feel the same, Ellen?
Yeah.
Yeah, everything you said, I was like, ugh, like, how do you do it? So definitely great. Just like there's a lot of juice here, so I'm sure we could talk about this for hours.
Totally. Yeah, it's a lot to navigate, and it's always a roller coaster too. So like as soon as you try and get to a point where you feel like you've figured it out, I feel like COVID comes up and your whole like everything is kind of shook, and yeah, it's hard.
Definitely. I feel like there's a lot of people out there that just had an idea and they already feel a lot of momentum, right? And COVID hits. I was like, what is going on with 2020? I feel like 2020 is such a scary year. I just can't wait until this is over, to be honest with you, but it's what it is for now. All right, I'm gonna let everyone know that they are going to get converted into the main room in 60 seconds. Ellen, how did you find out about our event?
is this was it through Ladies Get Paid?
Ooh.
Probably.
There are a couple organizations that I subscribe to that do similar things. So there's Ladies Get Paid, I know I am a member of, and I regularly attend their webinars. But then also, maybe this is actually one that a friend had referred me to, now that I'm thinking back to it.
Ooh.
That's good to hear.
Ari, you go far and wide.
It's always interesting to find out how people find out about the event. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so you haven't been to any of these. Is this the first time you guys are meeting, both of you? Oh, cool. Well, Ari basically runs Chicago.
Oh, awesome.
Essentially, she runs everything. She's fabulous. So this is good, Ellen. You're in good hands. Lots of really cool kick butt people in the house.
Hey guys.
Hey.
All right.
How was everyone's breakout session? Ooh, ooh.
Exactly.
Right? Does anyone want to share what they learned or any insights or anything, or should I get going to the next?
I think we can get going.
Keep going?
Yeah.
All right. Are you gonna share the deck again?
Yeah, sure. I'm just gonna do
So
it real quick, and then
I
after
guess-
that we can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So now we'll get into the panel session. Before we proceed, I would like to introduce the moderator for today, Shaily. She is a social media expert, speaker, coach, and overall an amazing person I've had the pleasure to getting to know these past couple months. Shaily empowers fellow business owners to maximize their referral reputation on social media platforms like LinkedIn, with their social media workshops and one-on-one training company, with the one-on-one training company, yoursocialmediasherpa.com. Please welcome Shaily, our moderator for today's event.
Hi, thank you. Cue the music. Hello. Hi, everybody. Belinda, it has been a pleasure getting to know you since we first talked about this amazing topic back in December. It is a juicy one, and I've gone to many sessions trying to tackle this, the do-it-all question. Is it even possible? There's a lot of stuff there. So thank you so much for having me. We're gonna have some good discussions today. We have some killer people in the house. It's gonna be loads of fun. So before I introduce our killer panelists here, I want either a show of hands or a show of chat with your reaction, whatever it might be, to the following question. Just a reaction. You don't have to say any words. Some hand gestures. So the question is, can you do it all? Can women do it all? I'm feeling like this. What are some other hand gestures? I just want to see, because Ari's got a smile. Ellen's kind of like, but Ari, I think, is like, yeah, let's go. But I don't know. But there's different reactions here, right? Alicia's like, no. Melanie's like, no, right? So clearly this topic is one needing to be had right now. So just by looking at the reactions today in the room. So throughout this thing, if you have comments or reactions, it looks like we can see your faces, but the chat is there. So use it, ask away. We want to make this as useful as possible for everyone here. So yeah, it's going to be lots of good excitement. So let me show you these 3 kick butt examples of how to navigate this do-it-all question. Because that's going to be the key here. So, oh, you know what? I'm going to say this too. The event description, I want you all to hear it, is how do you manage work, life, love as a modern creative woman? So you see some women do it all and juggle their work and their life, trying to create a balance and keeping their sanity. Is it real? How do we do it? How do we try it? There's lots of stuff here. So without further ado, let me introduce our amazing panelists here. Ari, I'm going to say Shurzak, or you can call her Ari K. I probably messed that up, but you know what? She said Ari K. So Ari K, who I think runs Chicago. She's the founder, chief creative officer of, co-founder, but chief creative officer of Sikalofia, which took me 3 years to say, but I think it's really cool company. I've seen her brand everything from booklets to my friend's branding and beyond. She has 10 years of branding experience. She's done UX and UI design, graphic design, packaging, and beyond. She helps businesses take take a tangible form in their business and set them apart from competitors. She runs this group, which is Creative Women's Co. She's a mentor at 8071, and she's a big supporter in Women Tech Founders of Chicago. This is Ari, everybody. Go
Hey.
Ari. And she
Hi.
knows everyone in Chicago. Hey.
Well, not yet, not old.
You're close, and it maybe beyond. Okay, I believe it. And then we have Alicia. Is it Driscoll or Driscoll? How do we say it? I want to make sure.
I just say Driscoll.
Driscoll. Okay, good. Alicia is the founder of Evolve Her, which is a fantastic workspace where I've gone to so many great events over the last few years. She helps women evolve and live a life that they love. She worked at WME, IMG, Live Nation, and People Magazine, which I didn't know the People Magazine thing, and I'm so curious. That's the panel that we're going to do next June, I think. It's going to be crazy. And she created the first creative women's workspace designed for women in Chicago, which is pretty amazing, amongst a bunch of other good stuff. So I'm a big fan of yours and what you've accomplished and the spaces that you've created for so many different companies in the last few years using your space. I'm so grateful. So Alicia, everybody. Yay! Last but not least, Melanie Panchel. Yeah?
You got it.
Awesome. Welcome, Melanie. Melanie spent the early part of her career in advertising, working in account management in Chicago across a bunch of different consumer brands and agencies. She's lived in Asia, Europe, and Australia, which I love Australia. Where in Australia?
Sydney.
Sydney. Okay, cool. I spent a lot of time in Melbourne, but I did visit Sydney. She's also part of she created the Next Collective. She's curating events and experiences to help women answer the question, what's next? So she definitely helps with career pivots, entrepreneurship, or simply finding more personal purpose. So everybody, Melanie.
Woohoo.
So many good things, and we're going to learn so much more about them through this talk today. So the first question I want to ask you, so we talked about doing this a long time ago, but since this talk was discussed, something little happened. Something called COVID-19 kind of hit us. This was a little teeny curveball, just a smidge. So what was like balancing your own lives before COVID, and how has the way you manage your life evolved through that? I know you all, you can all reveal what your families are like too, but how has that changed, both professionally, socially, family-wise? How has that changed? What did you have to do to figure it out? One of you can jump in if you feel inspired. One of the three of you. I might pull. Ari, I'm looking at you. What? Ari, how has it changed?
Like Alicia was going to do it first.
Alicia, you want to jump in?
It doesn't matter. I can
Go for it.
jump in.
Jump in.
Yeah, I will definitely say that it's crazy. It was crazy before, and it's crazier now. I have always believed that there is no such thing as balance, and I think it's BS. And it's all about really trying to figure out what works for you, and the integration of it instead of trying to separate it, because as an entrepreneur, everything kind of blends together, and you have to continuously, grow your business and answer those calls and that kind of thing. So you have to figure out what works for you. And also where you want to focus your energy and where you want to get help, meaning like if you want to, buy your kids back to school fall clothes and you want to be there with them, that's great. And if you don't care about, X, Y, and Z, you can have a sitter do that or some of those kinds of things to help with some of that. And then with COVID, it has thrown me for a loop because I have two kids that are 9 and 7. And they're pretty independent and they're awesome, but we just had a routine, and they would, have their classes and their, after school activities, and we had a babysitter that helped, and it just worked very well. And with COVID, it was, it's like all of a sudden the parents are put in positions that they aren't normally in, and like kids interact differently with their teachers than they do with their parents, and you play different roles. And so they also have always, known that I'm around and available at nighttime and on the weekends. And so now mom's here all the time, and it's hard to really understand those boundaries of, that we need to get work done. And there were so many days where I was on a call and my husband was on a call, and the puppy got like a squirrel yelled at, running around the yard, like kids screaming, like, I mean, crazy stuff happened. And there's several days too where devices, I'm like, you know, they're on devices all day long sometimes, because I don't know if everybody knows, but I'm closing the physical space for Revolver, because while it was amazing and I love it, and it was like my third child, rent is a lot of money, and we're not going to be able to do big events for a long time. So since that's 80% of our revenue, then you know, it's really just doesn't work right now. So I've been closing that, converting everything to digital, e-learning with my kids, trying to train a puppy, trying to keep the house clean, like insane. So I don't have the answers. I'm just going to keep it real, because
I love it.
Fun. I mean, it is fun. It's actually really nice to have like more time with kids, but it's craziness all the time.
Now, before I might pose that question to some other folks, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. So you're working hard. You're trying to work. Your kids are over here. There's a dead squirrel running around somewhere with your dog. There's homeschool or whatever that looks like. Okay, how do you negotiate self-care during all of that? Maybe not. How do you
shower like right before I cleaned the garage since like 7:30 this morning. I was in the garage, and then I was like, oh God, I gotta take a shower. I've been trying to take at least a little bit of time for myself, but honestly right now I can't do much, because I'm trying to get everything out by the 30th. So after Tuesday I will. I've been getting a lot of like steps and running around, so that's my exercise. So I'm like, at least I'm like moving furniture and stuff. So but hopefully once, you know, I get the physical space taken care of, then that'll allow me to do a little bit more for myself. But right now it's just really taking the time to be with my family and kids, and I'll give myself a little extra love in a few days.
Wow. That's wild. I love hearing that. I mean, it's hard. I mean, it does. I like that you said you're keeping it totally real. And I think that's the reality, is that we see, like, I don't know, I'm going to say, like, we see the Sheryl Sandbergs of the world who are going out there and like putting the picture and making things seem like, oh, we can, I don't know. There's a lot of pressure, right? So I think the real stuff is what people really want to know, is like, what does this look like for someone who I know who's in Chicago? How are they navigating it? I appreciate that. If you feel inspired, Melanie or Ari, to share some stuff about maybe how your routines may have changed. And if anything, I might ask this question. I already know the answer, but if you feel inspired, our moderators or even our other people in here with your fingers, how do you have a family? And if so, how many kids do you have? You can put up some fingers if you feel like you want to share. We got Melanie with 3. I know Ari's got 1, and Alicia, you can reveal or not reveal, whatever. You just said 2, right? So we have 1, 2, and 3 kids. So we have the gamut here, right? So there's a lot of stuff to handle, and you all have businesses and all have stuff. So holy cow. Anything changed? Anything how you changed how you do what you do, Melanie, or some things that you do that have helped you navigate?
I mean, I similar to Alicia. I mean, it basically turned our world upside down totally. I think I said I don't know if everyone was on the call, but my husband had COVID, which he was fine, and none of us got it. But you know, he was like basically out of commission for 3 weeks, and he also has a business that he was trying to work on as well. So he was either like on a call or in bed. So like, you know, you go from having all this support. My parents live not far, so they help out. We also have, you know, like babysitters and things. You go from having all this support to having like nothing. And P.S., you're now like tech support to 3 kids that are trying to do learning. I mean, I have a 13-year-old who is like, you know, also like in the world of social media, and all of a sudden that becomes really important. And how do you keep them off video games all day long and do their work? And, you know, in the beginning, I was like, you see all these moms on social media that have the schedules and the color coded, and we're doing this and we're doing that. And I was like, oh man, that is not me. But then after a couple of weeks, when you figured out, okay, this is not just like a temporary situation, we're going to be in this situation for a long time, you really do have to like get a schedule together, even for us. Because we all even had to be in physically different rooms to take calls. So you can't just, you know, let everybody run wild. So I think you know, getting a schedule together really helped. It was not color coded and there were no like, you know, smiley faces on it. It was just like, okay, everybody must be up and showered by this time. I mean, my 12-year-old would like wake up and roll over and like get on his iPad for a 9:30 Zoom call. That finally I was like, okay, this is like taking Zoom calls from our bed is just not gonna happen. But you
You've
know,
done it. It's happened.
yes, the
Guilty.
work for us was putting a routine together and also just not like recognizing what your priorities are, right? My priority is the, you know, social and emotional well-being of my kids first, and then their sort of academic stuff. And, you know, myself personally in my business was, you know, is an events-based business, and I was gearing up for some really big events. And, you know, not only big events here, but also in other cities. So you take out events and you take out travel, and it basically, you know, upended the better part of my business. And, you know, I've been doing focusing on some other things that I didn't have time for, but I had also hired somebody that I had to then, you know, let go as well. And I think I had to prioritize my family first. And so I think that's your question about doing it all. I think there's different seasons for things, and sometimes you have to like take a step back in one place and, you know, step up in another place. And then other times you can, you know, you change where your focus is, but it's not all like, you can't be good at all the things at one time, you know, it's just, you just can't. So, that's a long-winded answer, but.
No, it's good. It's good. That's a real answer. What's for you? How do you carve out stuff for yourself? Or does your business kind of become your fun thing and you just neglect, I don't know if you have any fun hobbies or anything like that, or is that your fun thing, try to renegotiate what your business looks like?
A little bit of that. And also I started baking bread, all the bread like everyone else. I mean, like my sourdough starter was my child, my first child, and I was like totally into that. The funny part of the story is that we just went away for one night to a friend's lake house, and our cleaning lady came when we were away, and I put my starter on the counter and she threw it out. Like she cleaned the thing, right? My starter that I had worked on for like months. So there you go. I got into the bread baking. That was like I could really, you know, just take that task and focus on it. And I think that was a bit of an escape for me, weirdly. And walking. I've been like walking. And I'm lucky enough that my oldest is 13. So my husband and I can go for a walk together, and the kids can stay home because you got to get away from them.
I like that. So you have, you know, sourdough starter when you can rebirth that at some point, and taking walks and giving your kids some distractions.
Apparently yeast is in the air if you've been baking. So you can recreate your starter very quickly if you have had, you know, if you've been baking for a while. So that's what someone that knows told me. So we'll see.
Wow. Interesting. Actually, you know what? I might ask you a follow-up. And Ari, I want to get to you too. And if you want to chime in, Ari or Alicia, anywhere in this, please do. But you talked about your relationship and taking walks with your partner and what that could be like. How does your relationships play into it? Because even for me, like I'm dating someone and I had to negotiate the other night that he brought me some Chinese food, and I was networking with some VCs, which was like super random. And I was like, this doesn't get to happen every day. And I'm like, but I want to treat my partner well, but I want to listen to this conversation. What do I choose? And I'm not married. I don't have kids. So my pressures are a little different, but like, that's something I'm negotiating. But you know, you're mentioning you have a partner and you're doing some stuff together and making dough. Like, what's super key factors that you appreciate maybe now being in that relationship, and maybe what you would share with someone who's trying to figure out what that could look like maybe potentially pre-family if they're trying to go that route, or pre-marriage, or all that kind of stuff. Is that a big question?
That is a good question. I think communication is really important. You got to speak up. You got to, you know, I mean, my husband went from traveling all the time and not being around that much, and to then being here all the time. But in his mind, that was great, because now he gets to have dinner with the family, and he gets to like try like go for a walk or work out. So, you know, except for the COVID part, his life kind of improved, so to speak. And, you know, his life went like this and mine went like that. So that was a big, like, you got to be able to communicate about that kind of stuff. And, I think that's probably the most important thing, just being able to tell your partner what you need. And, I think the mental load for women is a lot, and, navigating the new normal for the whole family sometimes falls on the woman. But I think if you keep an open line of communication and navigate that, but if you really figure out if you like somebody or not when you spend this much time with them, I'd say that.
Interesting. So really enjoying who they are, but also communicating what you need. That's a big one. I'm going to piggyback off of that, because communicating what you need, I'm not going to speak for all women, but I have a feeling I'm not the only one that has trouble saying what I need. I saw a quote recently at a workshop that was like, you are responsible for asking for what you need. And I was like, whoa, it hit me, because like, I don't always do that myself. And in business and negotiation and clients, it's like, you don't know what other person wants. So my follow-up to this is, how do you communicate what you need, whether it be to a business, to your lifestyle, to a boss potentially when you have to take a kid somewhere, or who knows what? Like, how do you communicate that? And did you have to learn the word no? Is that a thing that has come up? So maybe I'll throw it to Ari, because I haven't heard from you, but I'm sure the three of you all have something to share on this.
Okay, that is a big question for me, right? It's gonna be like,
be real. What is it? Yeah. What hit you so much?
I think in terms of like communication, especially when it comes to communicating with your partners or spouse, I feel like I wasn't really a woman who are comfortable doing that in the beginning, right? And I feel like that has been an issue in our relationship when we got married, and then in the first few years of our business together. And I feel like that was very important. I mean, like, if you don't communicate that, I mean, the other party, they don't know what you want. So you definitely have to say it, right? And it also works in terms of like your own personal relationship, because sometimes I want my husband to know I need X, but I'm not telling him anything. How the heck is he supposed to know? So I feel like sometimes when we fight over very simple things, it comes down to you're just not communicating it. I feel like oftentimes for us, just sitting down together and just like have a heart-to-heart conversation. It's like, hey, I was hoping you could do X while I was doing this without me telling you. And he was like, wait,
we
what?
want people to guess, right?
Exactly. And that just has been improved so much over the years. And I almost feel like that's something that not all of us actually have, because we just expect so much out of men sometimes, and sometimes also men expect a lot out of us. But it just honestly, the bridge is just the communication. I feel like all you have to do is just like talk. And if you watch like other Korean drama, like myself, there's a lot of like miscommunication simply because people just don't talk. And I would like watch all this Korean drama with my husband. And it's like, why don't they just talk? And he's like, I know, right? That would solve all of the issues, and maybe they can just cut down all of the episode into one. Anyway. So I think in a sense, I hope that I can answer some of your questions, but yeah, communication is definitely a key. Yeah, and I feel like it's a constant work, right? If you want to have a really good relationship with your spouse or your partner, it just comes down to communication. I feel like once you stop communicating, that's when you know there are some things missing and there's a big gap that you're really trying to fill in. But I guess that's just for me.
Oof, deep. Was there some similar kind of navigating between you, Alicia or Melanie, of like boundaries that you've had to set to design the life that you want to attempt to have or have? I see you nodding here.
I would say it's been interesting with COVID, because we're now not just husband and wife, but we're also roommates and coworkers. And so that is challenging, right? Because, you know, you don't, and Ari's always coworkers, but I am not. And so you get to see, you know, like, oh, my husband's the guy that drinks those water bottles and crunches them, or those chips.
Oh, no.
We like to blame everything on Sue, the like other coworker, Sue. So Sue leaves the dishes in the sink, or Sue does this.
Oh, no.
It became a fun little game.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I think it's it's just like we've been married for a long time, been together for a long time. So, I mean, I call him out all the time, and I probably tell him way too much of what I want and don't want and like that kind of thing. But I think it's one of the things that I learned along the way that I think was really impactful to me is that I can't expect him to want or to see things the same as me or to want to live in the same kind of environment or state. Like for me, I want it to look nice, and it's just like I'm gonna do my dishes as soon as I'm done, so then I can chill. Like I don't want to wait till later and do it, or those kinds of things. But people work in different ways, and people learn in different ways, and so just making sure that you understand, what that looks like for each other. And then even with recently, it's like we have a house with a big yard and dogs and kids, and naturally women get put into this. I feel like we went back to the 1950s. It's like all of a sudden, not only am I trying to like figure out my business stuff, move all the stuff, like keep that going, but now I'm like, I don't have anybody to help with cleaning. I don't have anybody to take care of the kids. I'm making the food. My husband's on calls all day long. He's in the office. I'm on calls, but like, I mean, he works at Amazon full time. And so like he has to, you know what I mean? It's like, there's no flexibility there. So naturally it comes to me. And after we eat, it's like, he's tired. I'm tired too. And it's like having that chat about, what the new normal or what this new time frame or this kind of situation looks like, and like what we're each going to own, because I'm not the person that nags people, but I have to sometimes, and I don't like to be that person. So it's like, if you know what you got to do, I know what I got to do. We both do it, and like, just like take ownership and have that accountability. So I think having some of those kind of conversations are really important. But I know like in new relationships, those can also be a little bit more difficult, but do it. Cause I mean, it's worth it. Like the more you can talk, the better.
Solid thoughts. Oh, Melanie, any thoughts from you? I also know that there's at least two of you have worked very corporate, which is a very different life than running a business, I'm sure. But Melanie, did you want to chime in too?
No, what Alicia had said before too about just like picking and choosing the things that you want that are priorities for you. I think that is in your home life and your business life too. Like, if you can delegate certain things, like, it's about quality of time, not quantity of time. So, you don't have to be like, maybe you don't care about picking out your kids' school supplies, but you do care about the violin recital, or, maybe you don't have to go to every sport game, but you want to like help them sit down and help them with a paper or something, right? It's the same thing in business. It's like, okay, I also felt like there was this pressure during, this time that everyone has to like take their business to the next level. And I think that is not realistic for everybody. And I also think that not all businesses have a profitable pivot that makes sense. So it's not as easy as, every quote on Instagram, telling you like, if you didn't come out of COVID with your, with a better business or.
Right.
I think like, so even with regards to your work life, I think you have to find like, what are your priorities, and actually what, what helps you also, like, what do you find, what is most necessary and what do you find most fulfilling from a business standpoint, right? And focus on that, because it's hard to, when you have limited time and limited, I would say, just even mental capacity, it's hard to do things that you don't want to do, right? So I think you got to really focus on like what makes sense, what you need to do to sustain your business, and then also what you actually enjoy and find fulfillment doing, and focus on those things. The same with family life, I think.
I second that, honestly. I feel like, I don't know about anybody else. Alicia, I know you had amazing year in 2018, 2019. I know Mel, you do too. And for us, it was an amazing year as well. And I feel like as soon as we hit like 2020, we all feel like, yeah, this is gonna be awesome. We're gonna crush things. You have big dreams, right? But then March happened, and I feel like what Alicia has mentioned, that we just got like definitely flipped like 30 to 60 degrees to something that we just don't expect at all. It was hard. I feel like, you know, you have so much on your plate and you have the stress and you consistently feeling in fear because, oh my God, is my family going to get COVID? It's like, what are we going to do to make sure that we're not going to get COVID? How do we protect ourselves? How do we protect our family? I feel like March was honestly so terrible. I feel like I'm stressed all the time. And I didn't even want to think about like, okay, do I have to make a post today? Do I have to like, you know, do the LinkedIn thing or the anything around the business? I honestly feel like the first few weeks, I don't even think about business. Sure, I will reply to the current clients and all that different stuff. But I was just like trying to figure out like, what's going to happen now with our lives? Like, it was so hard to digest. But I feel like slowly you really try to figure out, okay, don't panic. Even though people tell you don't panic. When you tell people don't panic, you panic, obviously, right? so you don't panic, like, of course I'm panicking. But I honestly feel that, you know, once you really take in all of those and digest it bit by bit and just be reasonable with what you think would be, you'll be able to do, and just like be okay with it. I feel like throughout those times when we were in quarantine, I did not get a lot of things done. If I could get one thing done, I'll be more than happy, to be honest with you. But with like, you know, having kid and then you have to do all those homeschooling stuff, I am not a teacher for a kid. I found out that the hard way. You know, we're just be so stressed out. My husband feeling the same way too. And we just feel like, oh my God, we are such a failure to our son. But who actually expect that you're going to be like a, you know, like a teacher for your son who is only like 4.5 years old and all he wants to do is just play with you. And you have this like client thing in mind and then team meetings and then another phone call. It's like, oh my goodness. That was a lot. But boundaries was very, very important. I think Alicia and Mal, you touched on that. I also feel like priority is important too. I know both of you mentioned that as well. For Mel, I know it's very important for you for, you know, like getting the time, quality time with your kids and the education that they need. I think for us, it was a balance of that one and our business because we were honestly growing. I mean, there were a lot more projects that we can handle. And now with the homeschooling at that time when we were quarantined, I just can't do everything anymore. I feel like I am like 5 days behind. And then after that, I was like, okay, I'll catch up next week. And then I'm 1 week behind. It's like, what the hell? I just can't deal with those stress anymore. So yeah, definitely prioritizing things that you feel you need help is also important in terms of like, okay, if you can't do it all, can you hire someone else? Right?
You're so good at that, Ari.
I'm trying. I'm really trying my best because I don't want to like take all of those stress and dump it into my son nor dump it into my partner because I felt that because I think that was my I think weakness in a sense that if I get so much stress, I will be blasting that out to people around me. And I don't want to be that person. I hated being that person. So I really tried to like identifying like what is your weakness and then figure out if there's a way for you to, you know, get some help or find some sort of like resources to kind of help you overcome those or get better at it. I think I'm a little bit way too long explaining all these.
No, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Boundaries and priority. I think those are really big too. And also second Melanie's routine and schedule. My son is actually in the spectrum for autism. So he is thriving in anything that is scheduled and routine. We just can't do like, okay, Nathan, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. Not telling him and showing him this is exactly what we're going to do. He's going to forget that. And it's like, I don't know that you're actually saying that. I was like, but where's the routine? He always go back to the routine. He'll say to me like, huge. What is the routine say? The routine say X, so you need to do X. So if the routine says you need to go to bed, you need to go to bed.
Oh no.
Oh goodness. Okay. So yeah, that's it for me, I guess.
I love that. Well, I'm gonna quote someone fabulous that I spoke to the other day who says, "We don't see our own successes." Ari, you are very good at outsourcing. You just said, "Oh no, I don't know how to hire out." I'm like, you are good at that. So I want you to see your own success. That was a quote from you the other day. That I think that's amazing. Because even talking to Belinda, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so cool. Where'd you find Belinda? She's awesome. I'm like, I need to I need to clone her also. Like, this is amazing, right? Like, you've coordinated a lot of stuff with bringing people on, and that's a skill in itself, is knowing where to get help and where to get support. And it's much harder during COVID, but it's something that I commend you for. The other thing that, yeah, absolutely. You're welcome. This is the truth here. And in a little bit, I want to hear your questions, whether it be panelists to each other or some of our guests here, or Belinda. We got the Play Lab. Mary's in here. Ellen's in here. We want your questions too. I've got lots of questions for this amazing group. So keep that in mind. I'm going to look to you in a little bit, whether it be in the chat, private message to me, potentially verbally. I'm here for that. The other thing that I think that was said the other day when I talked to you, Ari, was that everyone's success is not the same. And that maybe you being 1 week behind, maybe you're someone else's superhero. And for yourself, maybe there's some negativity there, like, I don't know, I have to do all this stuff. I think that's a huge thing that you said. Is there any more details you can share on that, of like, of what, how, like, maybe what have we seen as the model of success, or who was maybe your role model for success? Was it even realistic? I keep making fun of Sheryl Sandberg, but I mean, I don't know, but there's a lot there. So Ari, is there a thought on that, or elaborate on that?
I actually look up to Alicia. I mean, she done an awesome job in coordinating a lot of things that involve her. So I was like, okay, Alicia got a team. I need to get a team. I guess in a sense, because you can't do it all. Because here's one conversation I had with a fellow agency owner recently. She told me, Ari, you need to fire yourself as a designer if you really want to build your company going forward. And I was like, okay, but I love doing design. I don't care. If your goal is to grow the company, you need to fire yourself as a designer and then move forward. You need to hire like other great designers like yourself so that you can move forward. I mean, like that makes total sense. But yeah, I feel like in a way, you don't really think about it, right? Because you love what you do so much. But when you own a company and a business, what you love to do, it becomes a secondary. There are so many other areas in the business that you really have to pay attention to, like sales, marketing, branding, and everything else in between, hiring and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like, ask yourself, like, what do you really want to do with your life? If your goal is really to build a company, then you have to look at like, what is it going to look like if I like just grow my team? Can I get support that way? Or if you want to stay as a sole firm, that is perfectly fine too. I mean, if that is something that you love doing and that's the lifestyle that you want, then go for it, right? I mean, a long time ago, my husband and I thought that we were just going to be like a husband and wife studio. That was great until 3 years ago, and we just couldn't keep up. And in a way, our aspirations change and our missions change, and that's one thing that really drives us where we are today. So, yeah.
Wow. I'm going to echo that. Knowing what you want and where you want to go, that's a big question. And just me, as I've built my business, it's like, what am I trying to build it as? Do I want to have a team? Do I want to not have to worry about the responsibilities of managing other people? I love people, but like, that's what you said, is like, what is it that you want? Because then you build that. Or sometimes you get a lot of good business, Ari. You're very popular. All my friends apparently are going to you for logos from what I'm seeing. So, or branding, sorry, not even logos, branding. Sorry, the branding. And you've taught me a lot on that stuff too. So I love that you're sharing all of that, of like knowing what you want and then getting resources for that. And then we gave a shout out to Alicia too, which I think is cool. Did you know that you inspired her on this stuff?
No, thank you, Ari. I love you.
I love you back.
I really appreciate it. I'll just chime in on one thing too, because I think like Ari's completely on spot on like really prioritizing and that kind of thing. And I feel like what COVID has done for me that is positive is because I've kind of been able to take a step back and look at what's going on right now, but then also what does the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months look like? Nobody knows, right? But I do know that there's a chance I may be teaching school in the fall to some degree. There's a chance that, we may or may not be going downtown, and we may be working from home. I may still be working with my 3 coworkers. And so that was part of the thing in deciding of closing Evolver. We can't host events, obviously, that kind of thing. But then now that I know I'm closing Evolver, what do I want my life to look like? Because I've been so focused on, you know, the business and growing it and all these different pieces. And I love it. And I've loved everything, you know, over the past few years. But now that we're looking at this, like right now, especially, I'm better now, but like the first few months, I mean, like Ari and Melanie, I mean, it was crazy. And I'm like, this is not sustainable. Like I cannot continue like this because it's too much. And while I don't want to be put in a 1950s house role, and my husband's like super supportive, so don't get me wrong, but like, while I don't want to be put in this role, it's like, I can't do all of this that I'm doing, and I'm not even doing it all, right? Because I'm like, I feel like the first good thing I did for myself is cut myself some slack, because like Melanie said, all these people on Instagram with all that, I'm like, no. So I think just, you know, allowing yourself to do what is right and feels right for you is good. And then just taking that step and that time to decide, you know, what do I want? What is like the best case scenario look like, and, you know, what is not acceptable, and then just figure out what's in between. And for me, you know, I enjoy this extra time with my kids. I just need some kind of help or some kind of like, some kind of framework around it, to where like, I know on Tuesdays and Thursdays I can work for X amount of time, because you can't, you know, come in and out constantly, or I can't be running out and getting the squirrel, you know, those kinds of things, because then you can't get things done. And so we've been really trying to work on some of those different pieces so that, you know, we can figure out a routine that works. And then I love working. Like, I know I'm a better mom when I work, but it doesn't have to be, you know, 90, 100 hours a week like I was doing with the space or in corporate before. Like, I love the idea of, you know, just working, you know, part-time, sometimes full-time, sometimes when we can get back together, we'll do pop-ups, we'll do events. But right now it's like Melanie was saying, I love the seasons comparison, because it is, you know, it's like, we can't look at everything like this is going to be this way forever, or at least I can't. I like change. So, but like, I like to look at it and, you know like, okay, I can't, especially with COVID, like we can't predict the future, what's going to happen. But at least if I take this period of time, I know what's manageable for me, my family, my business. I know what I want to accomplish. I know I still want connection, and I know that fuels me. But I also want to actually have some time for myself, you know, to be able to like feel a little time for go back to kickboxing. I used to kickbox all the time. I haven't done in like years. Like things like that, you know, just want to like spend time doing, or clean the garage. That was actually, I don't know why.
You're good at it.
Like organized. But.
I cleaned a cabinet today too, so I'm patting myself on the back. You should give yourself a pat on the back. There you go. I see the pat. You're actually inspired. What you were talking about, I'm like taking care of yourself and stuff, is like actually a question we have from our audience as well. And Melody, I want to pull you back in at some point here too. So if you want to chime in, please do. The question was, what are some self-care tips that have been helpful during quarantine? I am going to like every internet event, hanging out with friends online, playing. People seem to love, have a video or a board game night every Monday that people seem to like. That's been helpful through an organization I'm a part of. That's something that's helped me. But if there's some other things, Alicia, you're kind of chiming in on what you do. But if any of the three of you have some thoughts, please chime in.
Taking the bath is very, very good. I mean, I feel like honestly in March, every single evening, whenever I feel like super stressed, I'm just like, okay, my kid has gone to bed. I have at least like half hour just for myself before I go to bed. So I'm just going to take a bath and I'm going to go to sleep. That's helpful. And sometimes we also play games like the Mario Party. I don't know if you've heard of that one. That's fun.
I've been playing a lot of that lately too.
Yeah, or any like board games.
Mario.
We like Settlers of Catan, so that is nice as well.
Why have we not had a game night? We play all the same games.
Totally.
I have Settlers too. So we play games. Okay, cool. Baths. Yeah. We were like the same person, because when I visit my mom, there's baths galore. Baths. So we have Mario Party, Settlers. Any other things you want to share? The 30 minutes to yourself. That's good.
Yeah,
nice.
I think that's pretty much it. Oh well.
Amazing.
I also do gardening now, although I don't have like a big space. I like to now totally understand like how on earth have I killed a lot of cactus in the past, or like all of the that I have vine just died and now they thrive. And I mean, as soon as they like start blooming, I was like, yes, I actually made progress. It's like, this is fantastic. In a sense, I think that kind of like, you know, set my mind off of like crazy things that happen. And when you look at plants, it's green and the flowers and everything, it just kind of makes you feel excited in a sense. So that has helped me to kind of get my mind off of like things that has
Interesting.
happened.
Wow. Melanie, any other ones? I know you're making some dough and making some dough. So
yeah, a lot of bread making. And like I've been doing a lot of online workouts.
Oh, interesting.
And even though I'm like, we have like a little room that's like a gym in our house, and I literally never had been there before COVID, never. We have like a treadmill and some weights, and I'm a huge SoulCycle person, and I'm dying. So I ended up buying like an inexpensive, like not a fancy Peloton or SoulCycle bike, just an inexpensive one, and then just started like trying to find somebody I liked online for biking, and I found this like awesome guy in Chicago that like broadcast live from his studio.
Ooh la la.
And I just started doing his cycle classes, and I turn all the lights off and I put it up on the TV and put the music really loud, and I just like go to town on my bike.
Wow. So your self-care is actually exercise too. Like that's 2 for 1 right there. That's great. I need to learn how to enjoy that stuff too. That's a goal for 2021. Yeah. That's amazing. I love that.
But then sometimes I hide in there too after the workout's over. I just keep the door closed and I just hide down there.
You know what?
Everyone thinks I'm busy working out.
You're working out. You're busy. You got to take some time for yourself. I love that. If there's other stuff that you want to say, Alicia, or I have some more questions here that are pretty juicy too. Actually, this one actually might be good for you. So what do you think, and this is another question from our audience here, is what do you suggest for people looking to start businesses around this time, this very uncertain time? And what about those who want to start businesses around live or in-person events? Actually, that's Alicia and Melanie and Ari usually doing. Actually, all 3 of you do that, like usually in-person events. So this really hits all of you. But like, what do you want to do if you're starting a business? And then what about those who want to start live and in-person events? Thoughts, advice? Anybody feel inspired to chime in on this one?
I can chime in. I would say the best thing to do right now is to think about the business, you know, that you want to start. If you have something in mind, then to create a few different scenarios and to look at, you know, the current climate where we are and what people's needs are. And then look at, you know, the future, what that could look like in a worst case scenario and a best case scenario, and what those needs look like for that time as well. And then your product as it relates to that. So what you don't want to do is start something that's like just specific to this moment right now, and then the moment goes away. Or if you're, you know, thinking about events and then, you know, like can't do events right now in person, obviously, so limitations. But I do think with events, when they do eventually come back, because people are used to virtual and online, like there'll always need to be a digital component of it. So I don't think there's a waste to, you know, explore that area. I think just really understanding what the needs are, because like Belinda and I were talking, I mean, even online events are really tricky. And I mean, our events will have, you know, 15 people, or we'll have 70 people, or like 2 people. You just don't know. And it's really challenging because like when I look at myself and what I will attend, you know, I'm crazy busy. So for me to sit down and, you know, without a babysitter, without cleaning people, without all these people who were helping me before, like I have 0 time. So if I'm going to sit down and especially if I've, you know, paying for something, then it's like it's got to be super beneficial to like helping me with the business, or like kid sanity kind of thing, you know, because it's not the same as before. So I think understanding that, like how people use it, how they engage, you know, there's different like times a day. Like before we would do, you know, evening and wine and cocktails and all these fun things, but like we don't have that in-person interaction. So it changes everything. And so right now it's really just kind of exploring it. And then I'd also do a lot of one-on-one focus groups. Like I'm a big fan of, small groups or conversations, and just like, don't have to be formal, but just like see what people need, talk about their business, like what's hard, what's not. And then you'll start to identify some consistent patterns across them. And so you'll know if it's really, aligning with what you're building or not.
Huge on so many levels of like knowing what it is that there's a need for. I think that's something that I would say half businesses have not figured that question out. And echoing like building a business that's based on the times we live in, it's going to be different next year or the year after. I'm seeing a lot of people make some cash. I don't know about a lot of cash running workshops and being like, I'm going to be the Zoom consultant teaching you how to run Zoom calls. And I'm like, that might be hot right now, but like, you need something sustainable. So I don't know if that's where you're going, but like, that's what I've been seeing spur up now with the times that we live in, that it's going to be a thing that you can bank off of for a little while, but what are you going to do beyond that? So
I do think actually to that point, I do think that it is, there's also the opportunity where if you have a business that you can go back to, or like, once things kind of normalize or stabilize a little bit, then I do think like actually, doing that kind of stuff is great, because it's like, you know what, you're going to make some money on the side. Like, people are making face masks, you got to do what you got to do to pay the bills. So like, if you have some skills that you can share, and like, it may not be your ongoing thing, but I've had so many
side hustle
jobs through my I always default to web design. I'm like, web design. I just learned editing recently. I'm like, ooh, video editing. That's my new thing.
The script, use it for video editing. Have you seen this? I love this. That's good. Pulling in on all your skills and utilizing where they are. I have my own personal questions, but Melanie, if you feel like inspired to chime in on this too, please do. And Ari as well. I saw you unmuted. I was like, oh, please feel free to jump in if you feel inspired.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, go ahead, Mel.
Sorry, go ahead, Ari.
Okay.
Oh, you're both so sweet. I love it.
I'll be quick so Mel can jump in a little bit as well. So I think one thing that I would also suggest would be like user research, right? I mean, if you have something in mind already in terms of like idea and things like that, see if you can kind of like whip up a quick survey, or maybe just like a quick questionnaire, and ask a couple of people who you think would be an ideal customer, and see what they think. I mean, is it really viable? Is it really something that will fulfill somebody's need? I think that would be a great way to start before you're really investing a lot in, efforts and time and other investment.
Deep, yeah. I like that. The research is something I need to do more of, I'm realizing. Yeah, Melanie, do you want to chime in too?
Yeah, well, I mean, I always, my whole, the next collective is about creating next chapters for yourself. And I always think that there's another chapter. And I think now, if you are thinking about doing something different or starting a business, I think now is, a time when a lot of people are experimenting. And so, and maybe you have, not necessarily in the case of us like moms, but like if you are, not responsible for like 4 other humans, then you might have time to like, you're not commuting, you're not maybe doing as many sort of work socializing. You might have the extra time to like, oh, this thing that I always wanted to do, I might be able to try it out now. Or, when people ask me like, well, how do you start? How do you figure it out? Then the first thing I always say is like, there's so much information out there at your fingertips. And I think now there's even more information when you have access to so many more people that maybe you wouldn't have access before. So, even if you don't have time, you have, 30 minutes to listen to a podcast or to watch something or to attend a virtual event now. Whereas before, I think it was a little bit harder. And so I think it's a great opportunity to just explore within, whatever is sort of financially you can give to it.
Interesting.
Second that
great.
Real quick.
Yeah.
So when Mel mentioned about experimenting, I feel like as a business or as an entrepreneur, right, you're always going to pivot at some point. And I feel like as you're experimenting with new things, just don't keep it in your mind that this is going to be what it is forever. Things will change, you will adapt, and you will pivot. I feel like if you feel like you just want to start it out right now, that's perfectly fine. Try it out and do some research and then get some feedback and see if this is really viable for you. And also ask yourself, the most importantly, is this really what you want, right?
Ooh, yeah.
Is this really what you want? Yeah, I guess I don't know what else I have.
That's a great question. That's one I've been asked for dating, for life, for business, for family. What is it that I really want? I love that. That's a question I think that people have to keep asking themselves over and over again. So I appreciate that question. We are almost through all of this great discussion we've had with the three of you and everybody in the private messages. I love it. I've learned so much from you all. I have some closing. Might have one more question that's a little personal. We might hit a little close to 7. I want to keep us as on time as possible. I have one question. One of the panels I went to that was very much like, here's some cool moms that are talking about their experiences and all this kind of stuff. We're seeing right now that women are waiting later in life to have children and beyond, or some people are waiting for their stuff to become together to have kids, or what's feasible, what's not feasible. Is there advice for like, can people pull it off running a business and having a kid, or should they time themselves more strategically for that kind of stuff? Is there a quick answer for that before we wrap up for today? That's my personal question. I'm navigating it.
I don't think there's ever like the perfect time to do that. I feel like you're just gonna have to follow your gut. If you feel that this is the right time, just do it. If you don't feel that this is the right time, maybe you'll slow down and, I don't know, maybe something else will inspire you. But I just feel like when you feel that you're in the right time and you feel like you're motivated to do something, just, follow the flows. Just like go with the wind, whichever that one is. And I feel like that has been what guided me in the past. I just like listen to my gut. And I think as an entrepreneur, you also will always feel like, I just want to try something. If it doesn't work within 3 months or 6 months, however you want to evaluate that, then ditch it. Move on to something else. Yeah.
Cool. Any other thoughts from Alicia or Melanie before we do an official last closing thing?
Well, I would just say there's never like a right time, and even when you think it's the right time, that doesn't always happen on that time that you think is the right time.
Right, because that's a big thing right there.
Yeah, I think it's like there's no wrong time. I would say that. So I wouldn't, obviously you want to be thoughtful about it, but it actually doesn't have to be as strategic as you think it does. Right?
Interesting.
There'll always be another season, right? So if it's your season to have a small child and it's not your maybe like starting a business season, or maybe it is. Some people are really good at that kind of stuff, or vice versa, right? That just means it wasn't the right time for you.
I love that. The seasonality thing of like, when is that right period to think about different aspects, right? Like neglecting one thing, and maybe next year I always say my 2021 has been on my list for like 2 years. That's the year I'm going to exercise. So that's my period for that. Maybe that's my goal. Alicia, is there anything else you want to add there before I do a nice little closing activity for the group?
Yeah, I would just say I definitely agree that, things don't always go as planned. So like just listen to your gut whenever it's time and you feel like it's the right time, because you're never going to have enough money. There's never going to have it's like life happens. And I think there's pros and cons to having kids while you're building the business at various ages. So you may think it's going to be hard with a newborn, but actually it's a lot harder when they start talking and moving, and, or sassing, or, there's so it's never going to be perfect. So if you want to start it and you have a good idea, just do it. And if you want to get pregnant, then try, because you spend your life trying to avoid that time, and it's just a couple of days. So
yes,
you never know.
I
just say go with whatever your gut says.
Interesting. And I will acknowledge that fertility is something that we know some about, but we know there's a lot of mysteries there, so you never know. So I appreciate the vulnerability and the sharing of these personal details. Today we've talked about lots of stuff. We're talking about how to create boundaries. What does no look like? Communicating, tips on best managing your time, how to treat yourself, how to build self-care for yourself, how to manage like the tightrope between business and professional and family and beyond, amongst lots of other stuff, how to build a business, all this kind of stuff, self-care routine, everything. We've talked about so much. So the last thing I want to do, because there's so many people in this chat right here, I want to give everyone a chance to say something, and it's going to be very brief. It's going to be one word. I love ending this way. One word to describe how you're feeling now. I'm going to ask everybody that's in the call. So are you excited, nervous, optimistic, energized, whatever that is? If you feel inspired, I'm going to, who can I call in first? Melanie, you're unmuted. Do you have a word to describe how you're feeling right now?
I feel upside down.
Upside down. That's very real. How about you, Belinda?
I feel relieved because I feel like there's just so much pressure that we have to do everything in life, like to run a business, do well with your career, have a good, family structure, have friends, have like, there's so many like needs of women. And I feel like it's okay to not have it all, like do it all 100%. You might have certain areas that are lacking, but that means you can improve, when something's doing well. So I feel like just hearing all you guys talk about your perspective as business owners and telling, saying that it's not going to be perfect, it might not be the right time. It just kind of gives me a sense of relief because it's like, it's going to be okay. You know what I mean? It's okay not to be perfect. We're humans. We're going to make mistakes and we're growing and learning as we go. And I feel like if your heart's in it and you have a good mindset, you're fine. You know what I mean? So if anything, the discussion has really helped me kind of be more optimistic, like you said also, but also like a sense of relief that it's going to, as long as you're, like I said, on the right track, your heart's in it, I think you're okay. It's okay not to be perfect is what,
Yes. That is absolutely a hit right there. Ari, I think that was one of your goals for today is like, it's okay. Everyone's perfect looks different and it's okay. And I think you just echoed that really well, Belinda, for your own experiences. I love that. Mary, is there a closing word or a closing thought you can share with us about how you've taken this call?
So I'm definitely feeling very thankful. Just thankful that like for all of you guys have gone through a lot through the entrepreneurship journey, through corporate, through parenthood, through all of that, and just hearing like your experiences and then how like what's working, what's not working, the challenges you guys are facing. Definitely thankful just to hear that sometimes we're not going through things alone, and that these experiences are like things that everyone will go through. So definitely very much appreciate that.
Snaps for that. I love that. Thanks for sharing that, Mary. Alicia, do you have a closing word?
I would just say I've been trying to just approach everything with like I'm at peace with where I am and where I'm going, and I'm just gonna ride the wave and not put pressure on myself. So I encourage you guys to do the same.
Yes, and we're just a few minutes over. I want to ask Ellen, I want to ask you to share a little bit too, and then a closing word from Ari, and then we're going to pass it back to Belinda. So Ellen, what's your closing word or thought?
I think I second everything and all the words that other people have mentioned. I'm thankful, I'm a little optimistic and relieved, but I'm also comforted to know that I'm not alone in this and feeling this kind of fluctuating balance and not having it 100% nailed down all the time. So I thank all of you for just everything.
Yes, there's some realness in the house. Ari, do you have a closing word?
I just feel I'm content, to be honest.
Nice. That's okay. That's good.
For like so many days and so many weeks in the past, not feeling fulfilled on the things that I did and always feel behind. I feel like in a sense now, I'm just like what Alicia mentioned, it's like you're at peace in the sense that you don't even try to force yourself finishing everything in a day. Like do what you can, the rest will have to wait.
There you go. Do what you can. My closing word is gratitude that I was able to share this moment with you all and to hear some really amazing real stories and to get all people sharing stuff that we probably don't talk about on a regular basis. So I am beyond grateful for all of you spending time here today. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to the amazing Belinda to close us out.
Oh, you're so sweet, Shaily. I just have to say this has been really awesome. It's just, I love the conversations. I appreciate all of us being here on a Saturday, sharing this and offering such guidance. So I want to thank Shaily for being an awesome moderator. You're amazing. I honestly love your energy. I want to hang out with you, just like all you guys. Like you guys are very like awesome people, but I love your energy. I also want to thank all of our speakers, Alicia, Melanie, and Ari. You guys are great. I look up to you because I actually love live events. I think everything you're doing for Chicago, all your communities are amazing, and I really would love to spend time with you guys after all this is over with. So thank you very much. And Ellen and Mary, thank you guys for coming and being here. I'm very happy that we were able to do this. So I think that's it for me. Was there anything else you wanted to mention, Ari, regarding the giveaway, or did you want to pick that now, or?
Yeah, just real quick, but I know, Mel, you have to go after 7 p.m., I believe, right?
Yeah, I'm okay. It's fine.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm just going to do a quick raffle.
Yeah.
I'm just going to share my screen real quick.
It's the lottery.
Technically, we were supposed to do this for all of the attendees, but I just want to make sure to do this fairly. There's only two people who actually show up, like making the time to do this. So I'm just going to do this real quick.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
I want to use this. This is adorable. Oh, big money, big money, big money.
Yeah.
Ellen, you got it.
Congrats, Ellen. Okay, I'll be, if you can, stay on the line or shoot me an email of your mailing address and I will send out the giveaway for you.
Sure thing. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so at least there's that. And honestly, yeah, we are wrapped up.
Woo, after party.
Excited. Yes, yes. Thank you so much for everyone who coming and sharing all of the goodness and the insights about, like, you know, doing it all, because I don't think everybody has it fully together. It may look like that on the social media, but you never know what's really happened in the, you know, behind the scenes and all that, right? So this is our chance to really get to know how is it really happening behind the scenes. So
some realness.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Cool.
All this.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Let me know if you have any questions for any of our events or any of our membership information.
Yes.
Ellen, I know you're new with us, but shoot us any notes if you have any questions around those. Mary, I love it whenever you come to our events. You're one of our members, and I so appreciate of all of the support that you've given to us.
Do we want to do a virtual selfie?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Let's do that. 1 second. I'm just going to quickly.
Let me know when you guys are ready, because I have mine ready.
Just let me know, because I want to
tag
make a
all
nice
you guys.
pose.
Tag all you.
Okay. I typically do it this way, so.
Oh, she's actually doing a selfie.
Yeah.
I think we're going to do a screenshot of the screen.
That's what I was going to do
that too.
You get all of the options.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right.
I like doing that too. All right, cool. I'm good.
Alrighty.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday and the weekend. And I hope I'll see you at future events as well.
Yes, and on the internet too. LinkedIn is real, y'all.
Hi, ladies. Thank you.
Bye.
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 Hey, Ellen.
Hi.
Do you want to send me your mailing address and so that I at least have it in front of me and I will mail it to you this coming week?
Definitely. Can I just put it in the chat to you?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I'll put it now. Oops.
Awesome. Cool, cool. You're excited to get this?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, just writing this down so I don't forget. Okay. Cool. Awesome.
Awesome.
Alrighty.
Thank you so much for everything. This is really
You're very welcome. Have fun with the laundry. My turn to do laundry as well now.
good luck.
Bye.
Bye. Nice meeting you.
You too. Bye.